All right, so I think we can begin. Hello, happy Wednesday. My name is Daniel, and I will be your host for today's webinar. And before we start, I would like to say thank you guys for taking the time to be here. I know it's your lunch hour, and I appreciate it. And in return, I hope that you guys will really benefit from today's session. Yeah. So before I start, this webinar would, of course, not be possible without Eclectica. So give me a few seconds to thank our sponsors for today. Right. So Eclectica is a language school. They've been around for about 20 years now. And they offer many courses, language courses, English, and also business for business students and IT. Right? They cater specifically also for individuals who are in the IT industry, e-commerce, and so on. And they also offer other services like soft skills, and they have a fantastic online platform to learn the language and to improve, and also translation services. And of course, they work with and are trusted by many reputable clients, right? Polish and also international. So moving on. I also have to talk about myself a little bit. I promise to keep it very short. My name is Daniel, right? And I'm an English teacher, right? I've been teaching for about 5 years. I also have a degree and experience in business, right? Before becoming a teacher, I was in sales and marketing and also advertising. And I've sat at the negotiation table plenty of times, just like I'm sure many of you have. I've negotiated for better position at work, better salary, of course. I've also negotiated on behalf of my company with clients, marketing agencies, so forth. And even today, even as a teacher, I'm still negotiating. I negotiate with my students every day to make them finish their homework. Or after work, I negotiate with my girlfriend, who does the cooking, who does the cleaning, right? And we all negotiate all the time. And yeah, so that's what I hope that we can benefit from today, right? How to negotiate better in English. So enough about me. I would really like to hear from you guys. So throughout this webinar, we're going to be asking and answering questions. So could you have your phones, open up your camera, and scan this QR code? It should bring you to a website called Mentimeter. And you should see a question about challenges you face while negotiating. So take out your phone, open your camera, scan the QR code. And you should see a question about negotiation challenges, yeah?
Can you show this QR code again, please?
Right, so you should see something like this, right? Basically, you need to arrange what you find most challenging in a negotiation situation, okay? So you have 6 different challenges. Which one do you find most challenging at the top to the least challenging at the bottom? All right, so we've got a lot of answers coming in. I'll give maybe another 30 seconds for this. Okay, so while the rest of you are still answering, we've got a fair number of answers, and it would be building relationships, number 1. Okay, Closing a deal, definitely very common challenge, and confidence in speaking. All right. So these are all very common challenges when you're negotiating. Negotiating itself is difficult, it's tricky. Negotiating in your second language, I can imagine that would be even more stressful. I would stress out if I had to negotiate in Polish. 3 years in Poland, and all I can say is gdzie jest ziemniaki at Biedronka. So I'm sure it can be very stressful. So that's what this session is about. We're going to address all of these challenges, hopefully, in the next 40 to 45 minutes. All right. Keep your phones with you. Yeah. Don't close the tab because we will have more questions on Mentimeter. All right. So just keep your phone aside. And for now, let's come back to the presentation. Right. And one more thing, do mute your microphones. If you have any questions, you can either type it out in the chat box, or better yet, we will have a Q&A session at the very end, and you can ask your questions at the end. So let's move on. A negotiation can be lengthy, can be complicated. There are many aspects to cover. So to make it easy to follow today, I've created this framework. It's called DEAL, right? And it breaks down the negotiation into 4 parts. Define your goals and priorities, engage and explore, adjust and agree, and lock in the agreement. Okay, this is not a strict rule. Of course, every negotiation is different, but I find that this is a very good foundation and a very good guideline. So let's begin with defining your goals and priorities. Now, imagine this situation. Yeah, you have a new goal in your life. You want to get fit and healthy. So you decide you want to go to the gym and check the prices of the membership. Yeah. So you go to the gym, and you maybe want to get maybe 100 zloty a month. You start working out, and you meet a salesperson. Now you know these gym salespeople are very good at what they do. So they start to talk to you about VIP access. They say you can have a sauna privileges. They offer you Zumba classes. And after 30 minutes, you find yourself signing a deal for 2 years, paying 400 zloty for 1 month. Right? We've all been there. And this happens because we didn't take the time before stepping into the negotiation room to see clearly what do we want, what do we expect, and what we don't want, and what is our maximum budget that we want from this deal. When we do this, we are setting a clear direction for our negotiation. We are staying focused, and we don't make unnecessary compromises. We don't spend too much on what we want. And it's a lot easier to communicate what you want when you are clear what your goals are. Okay? So once you have done this, once you have defined what your goals and priorities are, now you need to think about how to communicate them. This is important. This is where language comes in. Try not to use the words and phrases on the left, right? I want, I need, I expect to get this, or you must give this. Now, these all sound, they make you sound very demanding. And they don't make it sound like you're very easy to negotiate, right? Instead, try the phrases on the left, on the right, sorry, right? It is essential that we achieve something. One key requirement for me or for us is that we have this. My goal is to obtain. Obtain is a formal word for get. Yeah? Our goal is to get this. Or ideally, in an ideal situation, I would like to achieve this. Okay, these are much better, more diplomatic ways of saying what you want. And also, if you notice, the first 2 are more assertive. Yeah, essential, key requirement. Use this for things that are very important to you. And then the bottom, ideally, is when you are more flexible. So choose what you want to say based on the situation. Now, how can we use this in a real negotiation scenario? So here's Jacek. He's going to be our friend and example for today. All right. Jacek has a company and he sells chairs. Right now, he's looking for a supplier and he's going to negotiate with Agnieszka. All right. So Jacek has defined his goals. He wants to buy a chair, one chair, for 120 zloty, but he's willing to go as high as 135. This is his range. Okay. And next, a deposit. Ideally, he doesn't want to pay a deposit. Most of us don't want to pay deposits. But realistically, most suppliers do require a deposit. So he's willing to be flexible, maybe 30% maximum. So Jacek has defined his goals. Now, how does he communicate them? My main goal is to purchase 1,000 chairs at the price of 120 zloty per unit. He's communicating his goal and he's being very specific with his numbers. Second, ideally, I would like to not have to pay a deposit. So here, he's communicating what he wants. At the same time, by using this word, you are showing that you are a little bit flexible, right? You need to show you are flexible on some terms, right? And finally, it is essential that all products are delivered on time. This is non-negotiable for him. He has to make sure his customers are happy. So he says it is very, very important. It's essential. All right. So moving on. Can you go back to your phones? We have a next question for you. So if you accidentally logged out of Mentimeter, you can scan the QR code again, and it will lead you to your next question, yeah? And your next question is, so let me share my screen. You want an increase in your salary, right? You want a 10% increase in your salary. Which is the best way for you to ask your boss for this increase? So give you guys maybe another 10 seconds. Okay, so we've got a majority answer. Yeah, the second one. Let's go through the answers one by one. Yeah, the first one. I want a raise because I've been working hard. Again, it might make you sound a little bit demanding by using the word I want. Okay. Third one. I would like to talk about adjusting my salary to something better. This sounds much better. The language is more polite, more diplomatic, but problem is it's not specific, is it? You're saying something better. Your boss might start the offer with, okay, I will give you a 50 zloty increase in your salary. Negotiations are not going to go well from there. The last one, which no one answered, I'm glad. I'm hoping for a salary increase. This is not assertive enough. Yeah, the word hope doesn't show that you are strongly in belief or assertive. I'm aiming to get a 10% increase in my base salary. The best answer. You are using the right words and you are being specific with what you want. Well done, guys. Good job. So let's go back and let's go to the next section. So we've done define and define your goals and priorities. Now E, engage and explore. So you're probably wondering why I have a picture of two angry girls and an orange on my slide. Let me explain. Quick story. A mother comes home after work. She comes to her house and she sees her two daughters fighting each other for a piece of orange. And they've been fighting with each other for more than 30 minutes, just for this orange. So the mom asks, Kasha, why do you want the orange? Kasha says, I want the orange fruit so that I can make orange juice. And then she asks Anya, Anya, why do you want the orange? And Anya says, I want the orange skin because I want to use it to decorate my cake. So the mom thinks, okay. So she takes the orange, she peels the skin, she gives the skin to Anya, and she gives the orange to Kasha. Problem solved. Now, moral of the story is, all of this wouldn't have happened if the sisters had talked to each other and asked each other, why do you want the orange? And they could have done it themselves, right? And it's the same problem that happens in many negotiations. Many negotiations break down because we don't take the time to ask and listen to what the other person wants. We're so focused on our goals, on our needs, we don't ask what the other person wants. Which is why it is important for number one, to build rapport. This is to build relationships. Yeah, building rapport means to build and establish a good relationship with the person you're negotiating with. Next, ask the right questions. Get to know what the other person wants. Understand their perspective. And finally, identify deal breakers. Now, what's a deal breaker? So listen carefully. You have a question about deal breakers later. A deal breaker is something that is so important to you that if you don't get this in a negotiation, you are not satisfied and you will not continue negotiating. Yeah. For example, the gym example that we looked at earlier. Imagine that you really, really want Zumba classes and this gym doesn't offer Zumba classes. So that's it. If no Zumba, you are not choosing that gym. Zumba is your deal breaker. So it's important to know what your other party's deal breaker is, right? So building rapport. All this can start even before you start negotiating. Before you start talking about what you want, take the time to smile at the person, shake their hand, ask them how they are, how was their day, and thank them for being there. I appreciate you taking the time to meet me today. Treat them like a human. They're not your enemy. Next, you can also use words, vocabulary, and phrases throughout your negotiation to build a good relationship. I'm confident we can align our goals. Align means to bring two things together, yeah, from two different positions to bring them together. So if you align your goals, that means you want to share a common goal. I believe we can find common ground, or some people say, I believe we can meet in the middle. That means you are starting in different positions, but throughout the negotiation, you are coming to share a common goal. You want to work together. Next, identifying needs and interests. So this is where you ask the other person what they want. And here's how you can do it. What's your main priority, right? What would make this a successful deal for you? Or are there any specific outcomes that you're looking for? When you do this, you are doing two things. Number one, you are getting valuable information from the other person. Information that you can use to make a better offer and get what you want. The second is you are showing them that you care about what they want and you are not selfish. Negotiation is a two-way street. Usually a good negotiation is when both parties are happy, right? So that's the language. Again, let's see how we can use it in a real situation. So here are Jacek and Agnieszka again. This time, so Jacek now wants to ask Agnieszka what she wants. Can you guys help me? Can you type in the Zoom chat, what questions can Jacek ask Agnieszka to get to know what she wants? Try it. Type out in the Zoom chat. What is your goal? Very good. That's a good answer. Piotrek, what is your goal? Yeah, straightforward, direct. And let's see. What is the main reason you want it? That's also a good question to ask. You're asking what they want and why they want it. What price do you prefer? Excellent. So great job, guys. All of these are great answers, right? What's your main priority? Is there any specific outcomes you're looking for? All of these are great ways to ask. Specific expectations at the end, great. So thank you for your answers. So Jacek has asked his question, and here's what Agnieszka wants. She says, we can't accept 120 zloty. Our price is 150, but we are open to offering a small discount. A deposit is essential to us because it helps us with production costs. And we value high volume purchases and long-term partnerships. So now Jacek knows Agnieszka wants 150 zloty, but she's open to negotiating. And he knows that a deposit is a deal breaker. Without this, negotiations probably can't continue. And she also wants long-term partnerships. Great job. So let's move on. Next question, go back to your phones and let's practice some of the vocabulary that we learned. Yeah, so if you can see on your phones, the next question is, what is a deal breaker? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so majority of you have chosen the right answer. I'm glad that you guys are listening and paying attention. Well done. So a deal breaker is something that is so important. If you don't get it, there is no deal. Right? Well done. And it's important to know what your deal breaker is. So good job. And let's go back. Now, our next part. We've done D, we've done E, engage and explore, adjust and agree. So that's supposed to be me and my girlfriend. I couldn't find a darker skinned avatar. So that's me. Pretend that's me. Right? I'm from Malaysia. Yeah. And I love Malaysian food and Asian food. All right. So if you guys haven't been to Malaysia, after this webinar, go to Skyscanner, book a flight this summer. Go to Malaysia. I promise you will have the best summer of your life. Anyway, I love Malaysian food. My girlfriend is Polish. She loves Polish food. So you can imagine we have arguments about what to eat for dinner, right? Sometimes after a long day of teaching, I just really want Asian flavors in my mouth. She wants Polish. One day, the same argument we were having, right? I want Malaysian, she wanted pierogi, I think. And I decided, you know what? Let's try something different this time. Let's make Asian pierogi. So I made teriyaki chicken, Asian, of course, and I used it as farsh, as filling for the pierogi, right? And we ended up having teriyaki pierogi. Now, I will be honest, not the best pierogi in the world, but it was good, right? And the point is that it wasn't what we wanted at the start, but we were both happy at the end of the day. We both made a sacrifice, a compromise. And till today, we still experiment with Malaysian Polish food. So my point is, I'm sure all of you have situations like this where you have to compromise with your partner, your friends, colleagues, a boss. Very often, you're not going to get exactly what you want from a negotiation. You have to be flexible, you have to propose alternatives, and you have to make counter offers. And that's what this section is about. So, making compromises. Now, there is a way to do this, right? Try not to use the language on the left. Yeah. I will only do this if you agree to this. Or if you don't give me this, I won't give you this. If you don't have Malaysian food with me tonight, I will never have pierogi with you ever again. It sounds very manipulative and just very aggressive and negative. Now, you can say the same thing, the same meaning, but put a positive twist to it. And that's the language on the right. Yeah, let's go through it together. We are willing to adjust. We are willing means that you are open to doing this for the other person. Yeah. Adjust means to make a small change. It's a good word to use in negotiations. Adjust. We are willing to adjust X if you are ready or prepared to give us Y. Next, if you consider lowering your price, I would be open to or willing to buy more products. It's basically the same as if you increase your price, I will buy more products, but with a more positive and diplomatic tone. Yeah. So next, making counter offers. Very often, we get an offer that we are not satisfied with. Very normal. Just remember that don't lose control of your emotions. And remember that people's first offers are usually not their best offer. They usually start with a low offer, and they're usually prepared to go higher. So first and foremost, acknowledge their offer. Say thank you. I appreciate your proposal, but I would like to suggest something else instead. Right? Or that's a good starting point. What if we decreased the deposit a little? Right? So number one, you are not saying completely no to them. You're not refusing them. You're appreciating their offer, but you are asking for what you want in return. And next, final offer. So sometimes negotiations have been going on for a while, right? You're going back and forth, and you reach your limit. This is normal. Again, at this point, emotions might be high. I've heard many people say, this is the best offer, take it or leave it. Now, this sounds very confrontational. It might make the other person feel offended and negotiate with someone else. There are better ways to say this, like this. This is the best we can do within our limits. So, number one, you are showing that you have limits, but you are willing to do the best that you can inside those limits. Number two, we've reached the most competitive offer we can provide. Again, you are showing that you are doing your best. This is the best that you can do. All right. So for the next part, I would like to invite one of you to read it with me. Yeah. So please comment or put up your hand if you would like to read the dialogue with me. It's a very good opportunity for you to practice speaking and pronunciation.
I can try.
Okay, we have a volunteer. Piotr, yes?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go, bro. Okay. So you will be Jacek. Can you start?
To meet your goal, we are willing to pay a deposit. In return, would you consider lowering the amount to 20%.
That's a good starting point. However, it's lower than we expected. We are willing to accept 40%.
Maybe we can find common ground and agree on 30%.
Yes, we can accept those terms. Good.
Sounds
Continue.
good. As for the price, we are willing to adjust our offer to 130 zloty.
Okay, we appreciate the offer, but it's still too low. We can offer you 140 zloty.
We would consider increasing our purchase to 2,000 units if you can give us the price of 135 zloty. This offer is the best that we can do within our limits. We will also commit to a 12 months contract.
Yes, I think that works well for us. Well done, Piotr. Thank you very much. Amazing pronunciation.
Thanks.
Okay, so fantastic. There are many things that Piotr and Jacek did well here. Yeah. First, look at the way he compromised. We are willing to pay a deposit. In return, would you consider? He used vocabulary to build rapport. Maybe we can find common ground. We can meet in the middle. Agnieszka also used good negotiating language. She said, that's a good starting point. However, she's making a counter offer politely. And here, Jacek gave his final offer in a very polite way, right? This is the best that we can do within our limits, and we will commit to a 12-month contract. At the end of the day, Jacek got what he wanted, right? 130 zloty for the chair, 30% deposit. And he used information that he got from Agnieszka. Remember, he asked her, what do you want? And she said she wants long-term clients. And he said, okay, I will sign a 12-month contract for you. So I think this was a successful negotiation for Jacek. Well done, Jacek. All right, so moving on. Next question, can you guys hop onto Mentimeter? You will see a question about building rapport. So which of these is not the best way to build rapport? Great job. You guys are nailing this. Well done. Okay, so yes, all of those other answers are great ways to build rapport. I need an answer immediately. No. Yes, sometimes you do need an urgent answer, but there's always a nice way to say it. When you say it like this, you're putting a lot of pressure on the other person, which can cause them to react negatively, even maybe leave the negotiating table. Yeah. So well done. Once again, all correct answers. Good job. And let's get back to the final part of our webinar today. Locking in the agreement. So many people are so focused on the negotiation part that they don't put enough importance to this final step, closing the deal. And this is very, very important because the whole negotiation is nothing if you don't lock in the deal. This is the chance for you to clarify and confirm all the terms and also follow through, set future steps so that there is momentum going into the future. Don't let everything end at the negotiating table. You have to look forward and make future steps. Now, how do we do this? Locking in or finalizing the deal. Here are some phrases that you can use. Let's make this official. Okay, the word official shows that it's strong and it's done and it's final. Let's finalize this, let's close this and move forward, right? So you're doing two things. You're closing the deal and also you're letting them know there are future steps to take together, right? And the last one, I like this one. Shall we lock this in? So this is you inviting the other person to close the deal with you, right? Look them in the eye. Shall we lock this in? And setting next steps. Again, super important. Quick story, we still have some time. I'm going to tell you about the biggest mistake of my life that I still remember until today. Before I was a teacher, I used to sell houses. I used to be a real estate agent. In Kuala Lumpur, there was one house that was worth 6 million zloty. I'm not joking, 6 million zloty. My commission, if I closed that deal, I would have got 60,000 zloty commission from one deal. I had an interested buyer. I showed him the house. His reaction was positive. He seemed interested, very interested. I tried to play it cool. I tried to be calm, right? I didn't want to show too much emotion. So at the end of the day, I said, all right, hope you're satisfied. Looking forward to hearing from you. That's what I said. And we left. One day, no answer. Few days, 1 week, 2 weeks, nothing. I started to get a little, stressed. I called him and he says, I wish you had called earlier. I lost your number. And I ended up signing the deal with a different agent. So he got the house, a different agent got the 60,000 zloty, and here I am teaching English and giving webinars. So my point is that it's a big mistake on my part, but I learned my lesson. And that lesson is always follow up, set future steps, right? Make them think of you when they leave the negotiating table. And how do you do this? Look at the sentences on the right. What's the next action on your side? What's next? You're getting them to think of what's going to happen after this negotiation. You're making them commit to an action. Or the next step is X for you, and we will take care of Y. You do this, we do this, and we are moving forward. We are building momentum moving forward. This is not the last that I'm going to see you. When you do this, they're going to think of you. They have objectives to think about, and they're probably not going to negotiate with other clients, right? So finally, Jacek and Agnieszka have agreed, and Jacek says, let's finalize this and move forward. Agnieszka says, that sounds great. We will, let's finalize this and move forward. My team will send an official purchase by tomorrow, and you can send us your production timeline. Agnieszka says, that sounds great. We will begin production planning. So they are finalizing the deal and they are thinking about next steps. So that's it for Jacek. Say goodbye. Well done. And finally, our last question. Yeah, hop back to your phone. And you should see one moment, this one. Question about locking in your deal. Which of these phrases you shouldn't use to lock in a deal? Let's finalize this is all right. Shall we lock this in is also good. I'll check with my team and get back to you. I've heard many people say this in a negotiation. The problem with this is two things. You are delaying things. You can finalize and lock things in today, but you are delaying this deal when you say this. Number two, you are showing that you don't have the power to make the decision. You need to check with someone else. So maybe you're not the best person to be at the negotiating table, right? So well done. That is the last question. And let's wrap things up. Okay. So that's it. Thank you guys for participating. I think we've come to the end of our session today.